Aye. Okay. Let's do it. Roll call. You doing your job, YouTube? Of course you're not. Rumble? Waiting on you. Now why will that not push? Twitch, what are you doing? Twitch is being loud and speaking through my speakers. Super rude. And Rumble is caught up. Okay. Quality down. YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble, and alerts. Okay. It begins. Greetings. Salutations all. Tonight's gonna be a night, friends. Tonight's gonna be a night. Would that I had something a little bit stronger and a little bit nicer to raise to you on this auspicious occasion. But, for now, tea'll do. Alright. Show me. Show me. Everything working? A Rumble chat. We got the multi-chat. And Rumble chat is not captured correctly. Why not? Oh, that's why. Growing pains, y'all. I apologize. Growing pains. I'm learning. There it is. There's the hot bride. She's up there. She's up there. Being her fabulous, beautiful self. Yeah, you. Yeah, you gorgeous thing. Okay. You put that back where it belongs. Or so help me. So help me. Okay, multi-chat working. Rumble chat working. We have our banner working. We're gonna turn that on early here just because I'm like to forget it. So I still have the gates open. It's not follower only chat just yet, and raids have not yet been disabled, but they will be soon. So as soon as we kick this thing off, they will be. In the meantime, I'm just gonna leave that there so I don't forget it. I also do need to pull up that page though. Okay, we'll see if anyone wants to sneak in under the wire like last week. Looking at you, Fox. Or 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. Was the last serious one. Okay. See here. Stream. Alright, there's the raids. Okay, we're ready to disable when the time comes. Music is running. Then by gosh, by golly. I guess we're there. Okay, let me catch up. Marsh, see you all in an hour. This gentleman, I swear. Never get around to streaming again, DVV. It's good to see you. Good to have you in. You were streaming yesterday, though. Very good to have you in. Very good, Pep. Welcome, my friend Ronnie. Fabulous Ronnie. How you doing, friendo? I hope you're doing so gosh darned good that you can hardly stand it. Good to see you. Good to see you. Mel, welcome in. Thank you for calling out. Leanne, I appreciate you. Early-ish for once. I like it, Pep. I like it. Are you done streaming too? Oh yeah, you guys just read it out a little while ago. I had to kill those tabs already. Okay, we already checked our lurks. I already skipped a step. Already did it. A Friday, a weekend's eve indeed. A good weekend's eve to you. Pre, welcome in, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Darth, good to have you, my friend. Good to see you, sir. Silver, I see you looking fancy aft tonight, and you're impressive. I'm just trying to dress in a manner worthy of you, madam. You know this. You know this. Howdy, Gus. Mafia. Hope everyone's having a scrum tush time zone. Ready for tonight's talk, and will attempt to withhold comments. Good to see you, Jack. Good to see you. Should lift my last glass of scotch in your stead, and I appreciate that, my friend. Yes, I do. Ferret, it's good to have you, sir. It's very good to have you here. Very good to have you. Thank you for calling out Ferret, Mel. Thank you, thank you. She do be pretty spectacular, it's true. She do be. Here for now, but we'll see as time goes by. I understand. Was here, but apparently had to refresh to get audio and video, which is new. I don't know, DVV. That'd be a new one for me as well. That'd be a new one for me as well. I don't know. I don't know, Thelma. Hiya, Thelma. It's very good to have you. Very good to have you on this very, very important night. Good to have you in. Tink, welcome, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Silly, welcome in. Good weekend's eve to you. Good time zones all. Boogan, playing on date night. Boogan, fabulous Dee Dee, welcome to you both. It means it's not lost on me that you would sacrifice a date night for this. And that goes for a handful of y'all. Spark, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. I'm watching over here. It's true. It's true. Sabrina, good morrow to you. Good morrow. Need to get out of bed. Well, it be like that. It be like that. It's a trap. Yeah. Dee Dee. Really good to have you. Really good to have you. I might ditch the jacket tonight. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. This is gonna be new. This is gonna be something. This is gonna be a little different. Gonna be a little different. If you guys haven't seen the go live message that I pushed in like basically everyone's Discords, so if you've got a Discord and I know you, chances are I pushed a go live in your Discord. And I hesitated about that for a long time. Let me tell you, I hemmed and hawed about whether or not I ought to do that. Because, I don't know. I know that there's a lot of y'all's, like, I basically don't post in someone's Discord unless I am an active lurker in their chat. At least they've got my bandwidth. That said, beyond that, I still don't want to, like, I still don't want to infringe upon the kinds of spaces that y'all have curated for your communities. I know that the Mafia community is unique in this regard, so I still hesitated about posting it, but I did. If any of you who are owners of a Discord, by the way, then you know, feel free to delete them if you need. Spark. Yes. It's a good one, Spark. I like it. It's a good one. Take off the jacket, undo the cuffs, roll up the sleeves, cock your arms like a shotgun ready to punch, like Henry Cavill. Yes, yes. I know the scene. I haven't seen the movie, but I remember the scene from the trailer. Quite memorable. Quite memorable. Yeah. Yep. That's funny. That's funny that Papa Bezos didn't like that. You'd be welcome to do so in my Discord. However, I don't know that I have the numbers to support it. That's alright, DVV. Feels awkward to self-promo when it's offered. Yeah, I understand, Silver. I understand. I I just always feel like I can't do as good a job of representing you guys as perhaps you could, and I don't want to misrepresent you. So that's why I always ask. I like your self promo, Silver. I think it's a good one. Rick, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you, sir. Thing that would make this better for me is if I was at home. I can be better attentive. The Mafia self promos. That's right. That's right. Probably so many of the words. Nah, just the one, Spark. Just the one. Internet took a break. Oh no, not like this, Sabrina. Not like this. I don't know, I might ditch the jacket. I'll be right back. You know what? I'll be right back. I'm gonna leave you in the less than capable arms of Chair. Okay? We're gonna be right back. I need to be a little more comfortable for this. I'll be right back. There you go, Spark. We feeling better, baby. We feeling better. Arms cocked, ready to go. Brawler Gus mode, indeed. I'm coming out swinging. We coming out swinging, all right? Tonight's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. Need to move the router. Oh no, one day, Sabrina. Internet being difficult. Yep. Smooches. Oh, I did, Mel. I'll take every opportunity. We got smooches. Danny, welcome in. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Getting out of these dorms, very crap Wi-Fi one day. One day, says Darth. This is good. That's good. That's good. No conversation is safe. Well, that's certainly true of where we're going tonight. He's suddenly less refined. I am less refined. It's true. Love the tie. I'm glad you like the tie. But yes, tonight is tonight lends itself to some brutality. Interwebs issues are resolved. Congratulations, my friend. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Curious to hear how the heck that happened. Miracles. High tea was lovely. I'm glad to hear it, Sabrina. I'm glad to hear it. Oh my gosh, Hopride looking lonely over there in Rumble chat. Look at this. Look at this. Where's Trotsky and Retro? And where's the peoples? That's okay. I expected that there would be not very much happening by way of chat tonight. That's okay. That is okay. I won't be offended. There's a lot of ground to cover, and I'm eager to get to it no matter what. Can talk more. Oh no, I meant in Rumble chat, DVV. We've got the split chat, you know. 220 interwebs through T-Mobile. Oh, I see you. Okay. 200 down, 20 up. I got you. Can't shout people out in Rumble. I know it, Mel. No commands, no integration. I may yet see if I can source someone who knows code, because there is a integration. I just don't know how to use it, and I would basically have to commission someone to do it for just me. There's no API. There's no general API. It's only specific user API. So if someone gets the work done, it only works for their API. So yeah, maybe I'll get something commissioned sometime. There's Tank. Look at that Tank up there. She got the dance. It's very good dance, babe. Very good dance. Rumble just to say hi over there. Yeah, that's right. It's important, DVV. You get them that plotting in. Okay. All right, enough stalling for me. Enough stalling from me. So, many of you know why we're here. Many of you don't. Some of you just stumbled on in and you're like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't read the go live that you mentioned, Gus. I didn't see any announcements. I haven't heard you hint at anything. I have heard no whispers. I've heard none of it. I just am just unlucky. Lucky to be here. Unlucky to be here. Not quite sure. It sounds ominous. Why are you doing this, Gus? Mouse, welcome in. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, Co's blankets and hot chocolate? Wow. That's crazy. For those of you with whom I've not yet had the privilege of making acquaintance, my name is Six. Regardless of which platform you're on, it's good to meet you. Good to meet you. Folks call me all manner of things. Gus, Godfather, Hey You, Guy with the Tie. Doesn't have to rhyme, but it can rhyme. I'm a variety streamer. I get up to a variety of things. Right there in the name. I believe that real relationships, the thing that I aim to foster, the thing that I am here to promote, my purpose for being on the interwebs, are a very serious thing indeed. I think that is something that ought to be done well. At least ought to be pursued seriously, taken seriously. I believe that those real relationships involve the silly and the serious, and all the stuff in between. So to that effect, to that end, I stream, yes, 3 days a week. 2 of them mostly silly. 1 of them quite serious. Tonight, and all these next upcoming Friday nights for the rest of this year will be especially tough. I have historically talked about all manner of difficult things, all manner of deep topics and matters, and waded into the discomfort. But this will be altogether different. This will be new. This will be challenging. And there's no way around that. I will speak much more about it, obviously, here shortly. But it would be worth noting that none of this is possible. None of the seriousness of this endeavor, this embarkation, and any good that comes from it. It's not from advertisers. It's not from the various platforms. It's from you. The folks who have parted with your hard-won time and your energy to be here. That's no small thing. And I don't take it for granted. Many of you have work schedules that prohibit you from being here on Friday nights, and yet here you are. Many of you have community obligations that prevent you from being here on Friday nights, and yet here you are. Others still are absolutely indisposed and are hearing these words, listening to the VOD in the days following this presentation. All of you who have taken this seriously enough to give it your time, thank you. And to those of you who have parted with your hard-won dollars to give this thing a shot at a future, I'm in your debt. In particular, I'm grateful to the public patrons. These are the folks who took that $5 a month and cranked it up to $11. This is Aki, Bootless, Dano, Leanne, Ferret, Goose, Hale, Jen, Joke, Abby, Tink, Helly, Marty, Karma, Pre, Retro, Zen, Ryan, Sabrina, Thump, Tech, Mouse, Trotsky, Pell, Milk, Dragon, CJ number 1, and Zin. You honor me with your support of this thing. I hope to return the favor with all that I get up to. A few critical things I have to do before the talk. I'll be back shortly. Thank you for dropping links, you guys. It means a heck of a lot. A heck of a lot. I will talk more about it at tonight's close, at the close of the formal lecture portion of this. That will not happen. It will not happen in 4 hours. My intention is... Who is texting me? Everybody I know is here. It is my intention to keep the formal portion of tonight's lecture actually being texted by somebody. It's not a good time, friendo. Not a good time. I'm going to attempt to keep the formal portion of tonight's stream somewhat short. That way, it is a good lead up into where we're going. I would like these nights to not be 4 hours long, lest you guys be burdened with a 4-hour lecture to catch up on. So I'm going to try to keep that part somewhat short. I will be speaking about the Mafia Community Discord and an important announcement that I have to make about that Discord at the close of the formal lecture portion of tonight. Not at the end of stream, though I may reiterate it before I close. So you don't need to be here for the entire thing. If you're leaving me with your bandwidth, I broke chat. How did I break chat? DVV. I'm in a rough spot in my life. I find that your streams, the one I've already caught and the one you are currently giving, are helping, both in perspective and outlook. Can't guarantee I can make it to every talk you ever give, but I will try. Thank you, DVV. And I will aim to earn it. All of the time that you've already sacrificed and the time you aim to. I aim to earn it. Thank you for your financial support on top of that. Hey, listen, you heard that, huh, silly? We'll say, I hope we get to the idea of handling anger issues, because my anger control and self-love has never been tested more than the last 4 weeks. Last 20 or so years combined. Send them the link, right, Jack? Right. Sounds like you need to turn that off. I'm not that popular. I don't expect that it's going to go off again. Okay. Join the Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord, now's a good chance. I'll say my spiel now, so I don't have to repeat it later. The rules to get in are kind of tough, by design. The Mafia is a welcoming sort. They tend to show that welcome via stickers. If you do decide to join up, if you do decide to get plugged into this community, expect your notifications to blow up for a week or 3 as people see that you've made your way in. Because, they understand the rules. They understand the difficulty of getting past them. So, be prepared. Be prepared. Okay. I'm going to enforce the strictures now, I guess. We're going to disable raids. We're going to set follower only chat 10 minutes. And we'll begin. Timestamps. Be advised, I'm going to miss chat. A lot of chat tonight as I hold forth with my lecture. More than usual, I put my thoughts to paper for this, okay? Pen to paper. Because this is a topic that I absolutely must get right. This is a topic that requires precision. This is one that I can't afford to This is one that requires precision. I've notated a lot of my thoughts. I've captured a lot of good quotes that I found valuable, and I've articulated my words in such a way that I'd like to regurgitate precisely. So I'm going to miss a lot of chat. I'm grateful in advance to all of you who attempt to do two things at once. Pay attention to the lecture and welcome in the new joins. Field questions. Point people toward resources if they're asking after them. I'm grateful. I recognize that this constitutes a sacrifice on your part, and hence my extraordinary gratitude for it. Thumper, it's good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in. I don't yet know what I will do after concluding the formal lecture portion of this. Besides making the announcements, I will maybe, depending on how the night goes, see about a Q&A session for the end. There's not too much that I'm going to be going into outside of tonight's material. So, if you ask questions that go beyond the scope of tonight, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to address them because I expect that this series will last 2 months. I'm fully expecting it to take 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8 Fridays. And now that I'm not in uniform and I won't have somebody banging down my door about being in uniform, I can stick to that schedule now. So that's what you can expect. That's what's going on. Again, multi-streaming, Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. So the VODs can be found on all of them. You know, Twitch's roll off, the others remain. But yeah, I also expect that there's a lot of folks who will not put much in chat tonight. And there's a good reason for that. In any case, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. Okay, talk number 169. The Masculine Journey, Night 1. The Masculine Journey. Here's your warning. Here's your disclaimer. The one guarantee I've always made to you about myself, per what Bugin just said over there, is that I will disappoint you, yeah? Well, this year I'm adding another guarantee. Only this time it's not about me, it's about what I'll be teaching. It won't be with every topic we touch, but the theme that undergirds every talk of 2025 means that at some point you will be upset. Because I'm certain that a large portion of folks listening to this will otherwise run off with a ridiculous caricature of the guy in a tie who's hurting people just so he can sound edgy, just to be contrarian. Tonight is going to be a lot of caveats, couching, and preempting. If you know the first thing about me, you'll know that I am not setting out to hurt anyone. That is not my aim. I do not relish the misery of others. I do not. On the contrary, I want people I love to thrive. Yes, that means you. Since we live in a world absolutely hell-bent on telling you sweet-sounding lies, however, it is a virtual certainty that the truths I will be telling will sound awful to ears unaccustomed to its ring. So when, not if, you find yourself offended, when, not if, you feel your temperature rising, your cheeks flushing, I want you to remember the character of the one presenting this information to you. Is this a person who's demonstrated hate for you? Is this someone with a history of wanton disregard for the well-being of others? Even more foundational, perhaps. Does this person value human life? Learning to ask yourself these kinds of questions will be an invaluable skill as you continue in life. It will take practice, hence my calling it a skill, It is one that will save you untold measures of misery. And speaking of misery, if it's not lies that you're being told by the world, and I'm the one who's wrong, your immediate reaction is, Gus, you say the world is lying to me, but who's to say about that? Who's to say? What if you are in fact the one that's wrong? Okay. Why is it your life is so miserable? I've been fortunate to do life alongside a great many of you these past couple years, and it's not hyperbole or empty flattery to say that it's among the greatest honors of my life to hear so many novel ideas and stories, to be gifted perspective I'd never know otherwise. In that time, however, there has been an impossible to miss theme common to those who bristle whenever I bring up best practices, as I'll be doing during this series and for the rest of the year. That common theme, those same people are not living the good life. When asked, and in a brave mood, these are the same folks most likely to tell me how bleak and dreary their lives are, about broken or barren relationships, about the hopelessness that characterizes their everyday, about the plodding tedium of their work. The theme for all of 2025's talks will be best practices, i.e., doing life right. Not just well, right. But it might be better to say that the theme for the year is living the good life. Notice, though, that I didn't say a good life. I said living the good life. And by now you'll likely realize why I've updated my guarantees for this year. What's the implication of my saying the phrase doing life right? What's the implication? What's the implication of me saying the good life? Yeah. That there is a wrong way to do life. That not all paths are created equal. That not all lifestyle choices are good. That not all roads lead to the same place. And that these implications do, in fact, apply to many of you. My dear friends, whom I care about a great deal. You know, I've had a lot of people in recent weeks ask me if I was excited for this, if I was excited for these talks, if I was excited for tonight. I've been saying for months now, February 7th, this begins. So yeah, I've had a handful of people say, hey, you've been working on this for forever. Are you excited to get it off the ground? Are you excited to kick this thing off? You've been agonizing over it for forever, and you've been telling us about it for forever. Aren't you excited? Aren't you hyped to finally get this thing going? Full transparency. I have dreaded this day. You all know the phrase, ignorance is bliss, yeah? Well, that's true. Ignorance is bliss. And sometimes I just want to live in that space. Sometimes I just want to have a chill hangout with my friends. with the people I love. Sometimes I just want to talk about the weather, or plants, or dogs, or cars, or games. I don't want to lose friends. I don't want to lose touch with the people I care about. And while it is okay to live in the silliness some of the time, while it's okay to splash around in the shallows and just relax on occasion, at some point a line gets crossed. At some point, it's abuse. What do I mean? I'm not a parent, and I don't claim to have the wisdom unique to them. But I have, with great intentionality, studied humaning in all of its forms, to include parenting, for a very, very long time. I seek to understand. I seek wisdom. And here's some wisdom that's been shared with me by some of the parents I know, some of whom are right here in this community. The law of increasing returns. And you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like parenting wisdom. That sounds like economics. Right you are, Harry. For those of you unfamiliar, this is an economics principle. The law of increasing returns. Okay? What is this thing? Some examples. Learning a trade, right? You want to learn to be a welder or some such? Okay, that will cost you time, perhaps money, and frustration up front, right? But there's a payoff down the line. Same thing with college. Ideally, that's what college is for. You go in to be an engineer, it costs you a bunch of time and money and energy and aggravation and frustration as you learn all the different things involved in being an engineer. That leads up to taking the FE exam here in the States. I don't know what it is elsewhere in the world, but your functional engineering exam to get your license at the conclusion of it, okay? This will cost you years of your life up front. The payoff will come later when you are now a licensed engineer and you can do something with that, something meaningful. And ostensibly, you can make more money with that, right? Okay. Training a dog is this way. Up front, you get a brand new puppy, right? And it's a pain in the ass. You've got to teach it everything. It's a mess. It is disobedient. It gets in trouble. It's maybe dangerous. All these things. But you invest time and energy to train this animal, right? What's the payoff? Well, that comes later, in that you have a dog that is useful to you, that is helpful to you, that you love, that you can take places, right? We've got some folks who know a lot about that in our community. Riding a bike is this way. It's dangerous and scary up front. And then what? After that period of investment, after that period of no returns whatsoever, come the returns. Yeah? Learning an instrument, learning a new language, practicing humaning, say in the Mafia community Discord on Wednesdays. Just random example off the top of my head. Actual investing. It's probably a good example of this. Actual financial investments, okay? Compound interest and all of that. You put the money in now and it grows to crazy amounts down the line. All of that. Right. There are countless examples of this, each with an upfront cost and a delayed benefit. The ostensible payoff will come later as a result of that early investment. Okay? The law of increasing returns. Each of these things has an upfront cost and a delayed benefit, a delayed yield, a delayed reaping. Okay? Now, understanding the law of increasing returns is incomplete without knowing about its counterpart, okay? This is the law of decreasing returns. Again, if you're not familiar, this one is the antithesis of that one, okay? Unlike with previous examples, this is where some action or some activity will have an immediate return, okay? An immediate payoff. Cheating on a test. Yeah, you passed the test and you didn't have to forego gaming or whatever else you were gonna do, and you just get to pass that test, right? but now you don't know the material. And so the next test, which is cumulative, will screw you over. And the career that you're going into, if you do somehow manage to cheat your way through school, looking at all of you who used ChatGPT at any point in these last couple years to write your papers, or pass your tests, or write your discussion posts for you. Now you're going to go into a career field for which you are unequipped. You are going to be taking people's lives into your hands in some cases. Ill-equipped. Oh, but you didn't have to suffer up front, did you? Someone will suffer, just not you. Cheating on a relationship. Ooh. You get your jollies right now, yeah? You go get yours because it sounds fun right now, in the moment, yeah? You get immediate gratification. What's the cost down the line? Stability of your relationships, stunted development of character that leads to you never thriving in relationships. I could go on. Choosing not to invest your money when you're young. Back to our money one. Okay, so you don't. Incidentally, this was me in infantry school. I still remember to this day standing in the H. For you Marines, you will know what that means, okay? Standing in the H at the infantry training battalion for the School of Infantry, all right? And we all sat there in our friggin' platoons, and someone came to talk to us about something in the Marine Corps called the TSP, okay, the Thrift Savings Plan. That is, in the military, they will match up to a certain amount for a 401k sort of deal, all right? They have a retirement thing, and you can put money into this account, and they'll match it up to 3, 4, 5%, whatever the heck it was, yeah? Now, I, an E1, a private in the Marine Corps, went, what a ripoff! My paycheck is already tiny. I already don't make any money. I already don't make any money. And you're saying to give you some of the very little money that I've got? What stupid. No. I will hold on to my own money. Thank you very much. Sounds like a scam. Is what stupid 18-year-old Gus thought. About doing meth. I studied quite a lot about drugs for my undergraduate degree in criminology. Okay. And this is one that was talked a lot about because here in Reno, it was a big problem for a long time. Not so much anymore. So it's a problem, but it's not a very big problem anymore. Okay. But this was something that was, like a thing here. So it was talked about quite a lot. In my program, I worked a lot with police departments and sheriff's departments. Sheriff's departments are often the ones who deal with drug type thing, okay? A lot of my former Marines, a lot of my old Marines ended up going into the sheriff's department and working counter-drug type stuff, all right? So I heard quite a bit about meth and other things as well, but we'll stick to the one here. The way that it was described to me by a former user of it and by the cops and all the the people who understand this stuff. I've never tried meth. I lack wisdom here, and this is not a place where I'm trying to gain it. I will seek understanding and knowledge, and that's as far as I'll go, because the description that I was given was that it brings your brain to such an unnatural high, a high that cannot be achieved organically any other way in life. All right? Think of all of the best things in life culminating simultaneously, and that's what's happening with meth. Great. What happens when you come off of that high? The rest of your life will now suck by comparison. Get to sleep with the supermodel? Doesn't stack up. You win the lottery? Sucks. Get that car you've been eyeballing? Sucks. So now you'll destroy yourself to try to get back there. You got immediate gratification, all right? You get an immediate return. What's the cost? Again, there are countless examples of this, but each of these have an upfront benefit and a delayed cost. We're tracking so far? Law of increasing returns, upfront cost, delayed benefit. Law of decreasing returns, upfront benefit, delayed cost. Well, these same principles apply to parenting. Short-sighted parents want to be their child's friend. And that makes perfect sense. Instantly, you like this kid, you don't want them to hate you, easy, makes sense. Many of you listening now know well what kind of parent I'm describing. And you know well because you're living the consequences of that kind of parent. This choice for parents follows the laws of increasing and decreasing returns, respectively. If you want to be their friend when they're young, you'll avoid saying things that will upset them, you'll blunt the punishments that they rightly deserve. And conversely, some parents understand that it's their job to be the adult in the room, and that they need to be the bad guy. And obviously, there's a reason I'm using air quotes here. In many households, the parents are divided on their methodology, especially if there's been a divorce. Oftentimes, one parent tries to be responsible and actually, parent as a verb, and the other vitiates their efforts by buddying up with the kid, many times pitting the child against the opposite parent. Sadly, this description characterizes the childhoods of several of my friends here in this community. 201. In fact, they've described it as having been weaponized by one parent against the other. These parents get the immediate satisfaction of being their child's friend, right? But at what cost? Do you remember what I taught 2 weeks ago? 2 Fridays ago, the last series talk we did? Everything costs. Everything. There is nothing in life without it. Nothing in life without cost. So when the parent says, I want all the benefit, all the payoff now, up front with this kid, law of decreasing returns. Who ends up paying that cost? Down the line. Who ends up paying that cost when the parent says that? Those of you who were raised this way, those of you who were raised wrong, are jumping up and down right now, yelling, me, I'm the one who pays the cost. Those I'm the one. And you're right. You're partially right. See, here's something you've perhaps missed. And incidentally, that's not your fault. That would be the consequence of having been raised this way. The reason you would miss this is, specifically because that you weren't parented correctly. Here's who else pays the cost for their short-sightedness, for their selfishness. Them. They do. What cost are they paying, Gus? They got to have all their short-term benefit. They got to have their rewards up front. I'm the one holding the bag. What do you mean they are paying a cost? The cost they're paying is not having the pleasure of meaningful relationship with you now. I know I say this a lot, but it bears repeating. You listening right now, you have unspeakable worth. And it is no small thing to have the privilege of doing life alongside you. Unfortunately, however, if this was you. If this is you, this was your life, this was your upbringing, those were your parents, and you were used by selfish, naive parents, you will probably have a hard time believing those words. If I'm so valuable, Gus, why was I used up and tossed aside like I was nothing? Because your parents are disappointments. Your parents are human. Your parents are me. Why have I dreaded starting this series? Why have I dreaded this? Because I don't want to be a parent all the time. I'm selfish. I'm human. You know what responsible parents do? With wisdom enough, the ones with wisdom enough to understand the law of increasing returns, the ones who can see beyond their immediacy, do you know what those parents do instead? They know that children need adults to guide them. They know that the children who are dumb because they don't know anything because they're children need to hear things that they don't want to. The child will want to eat ice cream and candy all day, every day, right? But a responsible parent knows that the loving thing to do is to say no, even when it will upset the child, who, again, and here I can't stress this enough, doesn't know anything about anything because they're a child. A wise parent understands this. A wise parent knows that actual love will mean saying unpopular and unfun things because they care enough to set their child on a good path. A wise parent will pay the cost up front. They don't get to be best buddies with their kid. And that will hurt. But do you know what all of the children of these wise parents tell me once they've got families of their own? And here I've talked to many. Some of them are here right now. That now they understand why their parents told them no, and that they're grateful for it. And what's more, now they get to have amazing relationships with their parents. Or at least it's a possibility. It's at least in the cards. Now that they're adults, now that they're functioning. Hey, don't miss the implications of this here, because this is friggin' huge. All right? The wise parents pay the cost of a healthy relationship up front, while their children can't appreciate it. And later, when the child is grown and becoming an adult in their own right, now both parties get to reap the rewards. Now those parents who sacrificed up front will see the payoff in the form of a healthy relationship with their children for the rest of their lives. Or at least it's a possibility. So you get to choose. Will you do the easy thing and reap immediate rewards? Being the friend for 10, 12, maybe even 13 years, if you're lucky. The friend of a lousy child who isn't even old enough to have a personality of their own, who has nothing interesting to talk about, nothing to contribute, and who will likely turn out insufferable, such that you don't want to talk to them or have a relationship with them when they are now grown. That's option one. Or will you do the right and forego those immediate rewards. Being the parent and working to develop a human that's decent in their own right, one that you'll actually want to spend time with when they're grown, one that you can unselfishly call a friend for 40, 50, maybe even 60 years. What is it that I say all the time? All the time? The easy thing and the right thing are rarely the same thing. Which brings me back to where we began. Each of you are living the consequences of those who raised you. You have no trouble discerning whether or not they did a good job. You don't struggle here. You know whether or not you had a wise mother, a wise father figure. You know this. So why do we get so uppity when someone comes along and makes the claims that I am? That there's a right way to do life. Why do you get so upset when I say there is a right way to do this, and therefore there's a wrong way? When you absolutely know whether or not you've been raised right? When you know, clear as day, whether or not you were abused? Why do you fight me? Why do you resist this so vociferously? Could it be pride? Could it be that you can spot the selfish, short-sighted conceit in others, but not in yourself? You know what that'd make you, don't you? By the way, quick aside, you know what that would make you, right? Human. There are several other realities common to us humans, okay, that I need to speak to as we begin. First, ladies. Ladies first. I don't make the rules, I just abide by them. Ladies. If I might have a word with you specifically. In each of the recent interactions I've had with you, you ladies, I mean here in the past handful of months, as I've talked about this in the CNRs, as I've alluded to some of this in the talks, and you're over in chat. In each of the interactions that I've had with you, where I've mentioned best practices for men, you have tried to fight me. It's worth noting that the most vociferous of these attempts was made in the presence of said men. My ask of you, as we make our way through this series, will prove miserable for all and impossible for some. You must not mother the men of the Mafia. Your penchant for tenderness, love, and your capacity for empathy has its place. To call these traits anything other than absolutely essential to our world would be to betray a naivete so profound as to be pitiable. But these next months are neither the time nor the place for them. In the scenarios I mentioned, where you came out swinging in defense of men around you, you have caused harm. I know that it's not your intent. I know that you didn't mean to. but you have caused harm all the same. There is no man living who wants their mother, no matter how well-intentioned, to run out into the arena to comfort him when injured. Out on the football field, get hit real hard, mom comes screaming from the stands, my boy, my precious boy. It's emasculating, and it will stunt him. It will stunt his development. Freud called this phenomenon the devouring mother, incidentally, and though its study is beyond the scope of this particular series, I cannot strongly enough encourage you to go give it a look-see if you are unfamiliar with the phenomenon of the, quote, devouring mother. Familiarize yourself with it. So what exactly is the ask? There's no more delicate way for me to put this. The most loving, caring thing that you can do during this series is to listen and learn. And if you want to love on the men in your life, the best place to start is to acknowledge and understand that we are not the same as you. We are other. As we proceed, as tonight continues, and as the following weeks unveil, as we roll into these next weeks, as you learn, as you hear, as you listen, what might seem backward, barbaric, even cruel to you, are crucial to the development, the proper development of men. Men and women are not the same. We are not interchangeable widgets with transposable dispositions, inclinations, or physiologies. We each bring something indispensable, and to deny this reality is to hate your brother. Though I own many books now on raising daughters and have dedicated no small amount of time to understanding women, I would not in my wildest fever dream claim to understand what it means to be a woman. Nor would I presume to lecture you on what it means to be one. There's no version of reality, none, where I would derogate you so. My ask of you is that you extend the same respect to the men in this community. Absorb these lessons however you can. Sit at the feet of discomfort, at the feet of pain, in order to learn. You will be confused, and you will be impatient, and you will be annoyed. Is it because you're dumb that you're not going to get it? That you're not going to understand? Absolutely not. It's because you are other. You cannot understand. Decide that the men in your lives are worth the unease it will cost you to become knowledgeable. You'll never understand us fully, but your families, your communities, and your countries can only be made better by your attempting to. And let me add something else at the outset of this. I take very seriously the call on my life to be a good man, and to be good at being a man. Something we'll get into the weeds on in the coming weeks. And I've spent no small amount of time working to develop and improve as a man. But that's not why I decided to do this series, incidentally. In fact, it wasn't even my idea. Guess whose it was? Guess who asked me to address this topic? Women. Women. Over the course of the past 18 months, multiple ladies from this community put to me something that was weighing on them, a question that was causing them distress, a source of anxiety. What happened to men? Who suffers when men fail to be men? Women. And I, for one, care a great deal about women. So for their sake, in addition to our own, I'd like us men to start taking seriously this call on our lives to get it right. That said, women are not free from responsibility here. Any one of your number's insistence on denigrating and dismissing what I'll be teaching will lead to the exact results that you bemoan when asking, what's happened to men? Men. Men. There are many important things we need to get straight from the first. If you identify with the presented material in the coming weeks, you'll probably nod your head as we go along, okay? If you don't, you may experience a strong reaction. Men often feel a visceral, physiological fight or flight response to a threat to our social status. Ladies, here's your first insight into men. It is a great truism that men will frame their definition of manhood in a way that most suits their own personal makeup. Beliefs, attributes, virtues, talents, skills, giftings. They gravitate to a definition of manhood that best describes themselves and criticize molds of manhood in which there is less alignment. Disparaging masculinity is particularly appealing to those men who depart sharply from the traditional code of manhood. If there's a part of them that feels insecure or ashamed of their shortcomings, as there is in every man to some degree, whether or not they will admit it, this cognitive dissonance is quickly and handily quashed by telling themselves, the whole idea of manliness is stupid. It's all ridiculous anyways. Who needs it? In adopting this view, such men not only save themselves the effort of striving to be manly and the daunting reality that they may very well fail in this endeavor, but also buttress an identity for themselves as enlightened and superior to their brutish brethren who haven't yet evolved. I know that many of you feel embarrassed to be here, as if your mere attendance is admitting weakness. It'd be much easier to just skip the whole thing and say that you forgot, or that you're just too busy for these talks. Which is why I'm not addressing the weak men. My words for this talk are for the ones with courage enough to be hearing these words. There are dozens of men in my life who refuse to face this material. They refuse it outright, many of whom fit the description of the men I described a bit ago. They don't need anyone to tell them what it means to be a man. They've got this on their own. After all, real men don't need help. There are many more who just happen to go missing for a bit when it's being discussed. It's not that they're not interested, see? No, it's just they're just so busy. If you are hearing these words, then you've already demonstrated a strength that you've at one point doubted you had. Everyone memes on the various 12-step groups that exist out there, right? It's like a movie trope for forever, like Fight Club and everything else. Hi, Bob, right? Okay. But who can tell me the first step in a 12-step program? Who knows? This is a rhetorical question. You don't need to put this in chat. What is the first step of the 12-step process? It's admitting that I can't do this alone. That I'm powerless before my addiction, whatever addiction. Powerless before my shortcoming. And that if I continue to try to face them as I always have, I will continue to fail. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes right now. Okay? And I want you, wherever you are, to take stock of your life real quick, okay? Just a quick down and dirty. The whole thing, okay? The whole thing. How successful do you feel? This is just for you. You don't put this in chat. How successful do you feel? Do you feel as though you've got it all sorted, all figured out? You know, you've got a mastery over all the vices that plague other men? How about your world of romantic relationships? How's that going for you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how are those going? Everything you'd hoped and dreamed? Everything you were promised? I'm gonna set this timer. Think on your life. Take inventory. 2 minutes. Ready, go. How about your work? Timer's still going. How's your world of work going? You feel fulfilled? Here I've killed the 2 minutes, but I invite you to think on this more after we close here today. After you've finished with this talk, I invite you to take inventory. Take stock. Who are you? Are you all that you'd hoped and dreamed? I've read many books on this subject over the years, both for my own sake, my own development, my own curiosity, my own pursuit of wisdom, and now I've read many more. For yes, continuation of my benefit, but also for yours. Many books. Got a small mountain of them. Small mountain of them on this subject. And I've drawn much from each, some more than others. I want to read to you from one of them. You might get an idea of where we're going with this. A boy has a lot to learn in his journey to become a man, and he becomes a man only through the active intervention of his father and the fellowship of men. It cannot happen any other way. To become a man, and to know that he has become a man, a boy must have a guide, a father who will show him how to fix a bike, and cast a fishing rod, and call a girl, and land the job, and all the many things a boy will encounter in his journey to become a man. This we must understand. Masculinity is bestowed. A boy learns who he is and what he's made of from a man or a company of men. This can't be learned in any other place. It can't be learned from other boys, and it can't be learned from the world of women. The traditional way of raising sons, that's Robert Bly, which lasted for thousands and thousands of years, amounted to fathers and sons living in close, murderously close proximity, while the father taught the son a trade, perhaps farming or carpentry, or blacksmithing or tailoring. When I was young, my father would take me fishing early on a Saturday morning. We'd spend hours together out there on a lake or a river trying to catch fish. But the fish were never really the issue. What I longed for was his presence, his attention, and his delight in me. I longed for him to teach me how, show me the way. This is where to drop that line. This is how you set the hook. If you can get a group of men talking about their fathers, you'll hear this core longing of a man's heart. My father used to take me with him out into the field. My father taught me how to play hockey out in the street. I learned to frame a house from my dad. Whatever the details might be, when a man speaks of the greatest gift his father gave him, if his father gave him anything at all worth remembering, it is always the passing on of masculinity. This is essential, for life will test you, my brothers. Like a ship at sea, you will be tested, and the storms will reveal the weak places in you as a man. They already have. How else do you account for the anger you feel, the fear, the vulnerability to certain temptations? Why can't you marry the girl? Having married, why can't you handle her emotions? Why haven't you found your life's mission? Why do financial crises send you into a rage or depression? You know what I speak of. And so our basic approach to life comes down to this. We stay in what we can handle and steer clear of everything else. We engage where we feel we can or must, as at work, and we hold back where we feel sure to fail, as in the deep waters of relating to our wife or our children, and in our spirituality. You see, what we have now is a world of uninitiated men, partial men, boys mostly, walking around in men's bodies, with men's jobs and families, finances, and responsibilities. The passing on of masculinity was never completed, if it was begun at all. The boy was never taken through the process of masculine initiation. That's why most of us are unfinished men, and therefore unable to truly live as men in whatever life throws at us, and unable to pass on to our sons and daughters what they need to become whole men and women themselves. At the same time, there are these boys and young men and men our own age around us who are all very much in need, desperate need, of someone to show them the way. What does it mean to be a man? Am I a man? What should I do in this or that situation? These boys are growing up into uncertain men because the core questions of their souls have gone unanswered, or were answered badly. They grow into men who act, but their actions are not rooted in a genuine strength, wisdom, or kindness. There is no one there to show them the way. Masculine initiation is a journey, a process, a quest, really, a story that unfolds over time. It can be a beautiful and powerful event to experience a blessing or a ritual, to hear words spoken to us in a ceremony of some sort. These moments can be turning points in our lives, but they are only moments. And moments, as you well know, pass quickly and are swallowed in the river of time. We need more than a moment, an event. We need a process, a journey, an epic story of many experiences woven together, building upon one another in a progression. We need initiation. And we need a guide. That is what we will be walking into in the coming weeks. That is why courage is the cost of entry. Men, you've got to be steadfast. We live in a time of fools and cowards, where boys in men's clothing run our companies only to enrich themselves at others' expense. Man-sized boys run our institutions only to abuse their power and leave the next generation reeling. The world needs men who are intentional in their pursuit of wisdom. There are more than enough good guys out there. We don't need more of them. They're at least part of the reason that we're in this mess to begin with. What we need is men who will do what it takes to become good at being men. Is that you? Are you going to accept the responsibility? Are you going to step up? And here's where I make an announcement. I've been asked for a long time now. Gus, there's a ladies group in the Mafia. Where's the men's group? I don't have all the answers this minute. But what I am announcing here tonight is that I will be forming a men's group in the Mafia community. Its home will be the Mafia community Discord. If you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. I don't know when this would be. I don't know what day of the week. I don't know what duration. I don't know what start time. I don't have the answers to that. Here's why. Because my plate is full. My plate is full. I already don't have the time to fulfill the obligations I already have upon my life. I already don't have the time to run this business as I'd like. But this is an important thing, and many of you have asked about it, and that matters a great deal to me. And as I was putting this series together for the past many months, I thought to myself, this is something that should have already been standing going into these talks, going into this series. This is something that should have been well underway, well established, well rooted. Too late. The rendezvous on Wednesdays. The CNR, the Cosa Nostra rendezvous for you unfamiliar. Every group we've got is co-ed, okay? Every group we've got is a mix. That's the place where we process life. That's the place where we get our humaning reps in. That's the place for that. That's the format. That's the medium. That's why people have invested that time and energy. It's so that we can wrestle with life's big things in that community, in proximity to one another, in smaller group settings, where it's not 50 people and it's not possible. And yet, with this, you just heard me say, this is where we put the sign up on the clubhouse that says, "No stinky girls." The CNRs are absolutely invaluable in their current format, and they will not be changing. But it seems to me that there are many a man in this community, many a man in this community, who would benefit from being in the company of men in processing this. In fact, there are many that I've talked to over the course of preparing for this series and threatening its coming, who've said, where do I talk about that, Gus? You asked me to evaluate my life, take stock, sit there and think about it. With whom do I process that? And I know what their question is. Because they're not going to do it in front of the ladies. And I wouldn't either. Ladies, understand that this is not because we don't trust you. It's not because we don't like you. It's because what a man brings to a relationship, what a man brings to the woman is strength. And it won't do for us to show weakness like that in front of you. It's because we care about you. It's because we like you. That no. Guys will not have these discussions with you. You may be sitting there in a marriage or long-term relationship right now, saying, well, that's not true, honey. We can talk about anything. And your man's is thinking to himself, yeah, anything. I have a men's group that I attend each week. You guys have heard me talk about it before. My Monday night men's group. My cigar and whiskey group, right? Only right now I'm not having cigars and whiskey, so it's mostly just, hanging out in the company of dudes, philosophizing and talking about life and all of the stuff, the highs and the lows, and listening to them talk about sports, yes. Yay, sports ball. I have had more profound conversations in that setting than anywhere else. We need this. And I also fully recognize, as I said earlier, that there are people in attendance here tonight who are not going to make themselves known. And I understand why. Again, it feels like mere attendance is admitting weakness, showing weakness. I get that. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Now, I want to help kick this thing off. But I will not be the be-all for this thing. I will be there for the beginning, for the founding of this thing. I will be there to make sure that it's got some legs. But I do not have the time to see this thing through for forever. This will fall to you, men. Real men. It will take courage. It will take grit. It will take strength. It will take perseverance. To borrow Dear Pep's favorite word. Because someone's got to decide to be the glue. Someone or someones have to decide that they will sacrifice to make this possible. What does it look like? What does this practically look like? It's something I mentioned earlier in the year as we kicked off January. I mentioned how my Monday night goes. My Monday night starts as a group of 15 to 20 dudes sitting around a fire pit, cigar, whiskeys, shooting the shit about all manner of things. Sports, cars, house projects, money, all sorts of fun stuff that guys want to talk about. Fishing, four-wheeling, going out shooting. And we meet around 5, okay? 5 pum, we get together and light up the cigars and pour a couple fingers and off we go, right? And so that's how it begins. And cold nights like this one, big old fire going in the middle. All of our chairs, everybody brings a chair, sets it up around this fire, and there we are, right? Maybe a couple additional propane heaters around the perimeter because it's cold. It's cold right now. And then an hour or so later, a couple guys will go, all right, well, I gotta get to it. I gotta go. I'm on call right now, so I can't hang around. I gotta go do this thing or that. Okay. All right. Well, see ya. Good to see you. Handshakes. And then another hour or so later, someone else will say, yeah, I've got work early in the morning. All right. Time for me to go. Off they go. Someone else says, oh yeah, I've got the grandkids tomorrow. They're gonna be up early, so I gotta run off, go do that. Oh, my wife's calling or texted me. The kids are being a pain. I'm gonna head home. Deal with. Okay. A handful of more guys go, and the circle shrinks as people take their chairs and we get a little closer. And the conversation turns to more serious topic. Now one where the whole group can be involved and everybody can sort of put their ideas out there and discussing meaningful, perhaps scary things. And inevitably, an hour or two later, someone else has got to go. All right, boys, I'm out. Have a good night. Bye. Off we go. and the circle gets smaller. And every time the circle shrinks, every time the circle gets more intimate, so do the conversations become more powerful and more meaningful. And as I told you guys before, though we meet at 5 pum, it is very quick. It is, though we meet at 5, it's not long before the conversations turn serious. And it is not uncommon for those talks, for those get-togethers to run till midnight. With 2 or 3 guys. Maybe 3 or 4 guys around that fire who are left. I want to stand up something like that. And again, I don't get to be the one who carries this into the future. This isn't a me project. This is a you project. If you want to be intentional about this, if you want to get the work done, if you want to do life right, this will be important. And someone will have to sacrifice to make it happen. Someone's, some group, some core, some glue. Which again is why I don't know when the heck it would be. My schedule as it stands right now is murderous. 80 to 90 hours a week, and there's not a moment for anything else. Sundays is meetings effectively all day. Mondays I get to do some work. I get to do some editing. I get to catch up on some correspondences. I get to set some stuff up for the week. Just head nose to the grindstone here until I head off to my men's group at 5 or before 5, because it's usually a bit of a drive to get there. Depending on whose house we're meeting at, it's anywhere from a 30-minute drive at a minimum to a 55-minute drive for the farthest away guy.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Mads, I'm grateful for the follow. I appreciate it very much. I take follows very seriously. I aim to earn it. I appreciate your humoring the strictures that are in place here on Friday nights in the follower-only mode with chat and so forth for 10 minutes. I'm grateful. Grateful as heck to have you in. It means a heck of a lot to meet you on a night as auspicious as this one as well. That's my Mondays. Tuesdays is meetings and our errands day. Okay, on the other side of town, several meetings and so forth. And errands is our one day we go shopping and get all that stuff done. I come home and I work straight up till stream. Wednesdays, well, that's the rendezvous. So that's a 15, 16-hour day for me from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. I don't even get to do correspondences on Wednesdays, just straight through. The privilege of spending time with you. Thursday is supposed to be my put my head down and work absolutely all day. That's what it's supposed to be. Right now, it looks an awful lot like trying desperately to catch up on correspondences. And set up some technical things and build a PC right now. And yes, edit, which I absolutely must be doing. And I'm not. Fridays, this. I prepare for this. Well, most of Thursdays as well. A lot of Thursday goes into this. A lot of Fridays goes into this. Oh, all of Friday goes into this. I would have just skipped meals today if the hot bride didn't bring me food. And then Saturday is supposed to be date time with the hot bride. Wake up in the morning and get to go on usually a longer run together rather than just the short workouts that I do every other morning, the exception of Wednesdays. Usually we get to go on a long run, something like 5 to 10 miles, go to different places. That's on Saturday mornings. And then it's work, stream prep, stream, and then we're back to Sundays. My time is gone. And yet this is still something that ought to exist in the Mafia. And I'm not expecting, and if you have already in chat, then I've not seen it, but I'm not expecting that anybody here to have discussed it, to have offered it, to have jumped in, to have volunteered, to have raised their hand. This is something that can be discussed offline. How to go about this? It's a good question. Good question. At risk of doing this to myself, I would say DM me. Not this minute, please. My Discord notifications can be heard on stream, and I do not wish to hear that thing firing off for the rest of the night. Hopefully that's how many I will hear from. But please withhold it until either after stream or tomorrow. Or think about it. Decide, is this something that I need? Is this something that I can contribute to? Is this something that I ought to be a part of? DM me. Let me know. I'll get a roster together. And we'll figure out the logistics of this thing. Maybe let me know when your availability is. Maybe in that DM, let me know what you could possibly swing. If you were to sacrifice, if you were to cut things, if you were to trim the fat, if you were to tighten the belt, if you were to make a priority out of this thing, where could you possibly do it? The times that I've got overlapping from folks, we'll see about establishing something. But ultimately, again, it's not about me. I want to accommodate as many men as possible into this project. Now, it can't be Wednesdays, okay? Can't be Wednesdays. Wednesdays are taken. Wednesdays are taken by the rendezvous. And for that matter, there's a handful of folks who are presently unable to attend the rendezvous. And if nothing else, I would like them to get plugged into this. There are several gentlemen that come to mind, for whom my heart has been broken ever since I learned that Wednesdays are a virtual impossibility for them, no matter what. And we need this. They need this. So, DM me. And we'll get this show on the road. If you're hearing this in the future, if you are watching this VOD in the days, weeks, maybe months ahead here, still DM me. If it's not obvious yet, if there's been a men's group established, still DM me. We'll get this thing sorted. It's a very high priority that we do so. That's the announcement that I got to make tonight. Tomorrow I have a much bigger announcement to make. Much bigger. Tomorrow I get to unveil something very big. Something very exciting. Something I've been waiting to talk about for a very, very long time. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific time. The stream is intended to be a silly one tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow is supposed to be Tunic. Hopefully there aren't too many hiccups in me firing up the stream and so forth, and that we're able to just jump into it. But yes, tomorrow is purposed with being Tunic. So we'll see about that. And this concludes the formal lecture portion. As threatened, it was my aim to keep it short. This is short. For those of you who are new around here, you're like, that was short-winded? Yes. Yes, it was. You don't know me very well, if this shocks you. But those of you who do know darn well that this was the shortest Gus talk ever delivered. And also the fastest one we've gotten into. So, That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Again, thanks to the people who made this possible. For the silliness, for the seriousness. The folks who, many of the folks who support this endeavor, who financially back this thing, who give this thing legs and a future, they know about the announcement for tomorrow. They know some of the announcement for tomorrow. And they have been kindly keeping my confidence in this. And that's because at the tier of Capo and above, we have bonus Gus Talks once a month, where I meet with them privately for a long time usually. I always deceive myself and saying, oh, it's just gonna be a quick 2-hour get together. It'll just be like a 2-hour sit down and we'll chit chat. And yeah, that doesn't ever work. It's usually like 7 or 8 hours. But they get to hear what's going on behind the scenes. They get to hear the planning, the plotting, the scheming. And at certain tiers, they get to influence what I'm plotting and scheming. And yeah, so I'm very excited. Very excited to get to share this with you guys. It's been a long time coming. Long time coming. I've obviously missed a bunch of chat tonight. Obviously. By a bunch of chat, I mean all of chat. But I want to here reiterate something, okay? I said this a couple weeks ago, but it was missed. Its lesson was missed. I don't say this to lambast or roast anyone here, okay? It is because I care about you guys, and I want you guys to have meaningful discourse with one another. So here's my reiterating this point. I do not, if you're new around these parts, you haven't heard this. I do not censor what's talked about. I don't ask anybody in the chat rules or whatever, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, don't, right? This is, we've got a command here that points this out. I've got a tag here, not a safe space. Okay? Now, what I'm encouraging with this is not attempting to destroy one another in chat, obviously. The purpose of my saying so is because the Mafia community is where we are capable, at least nominally, of tackling these things. Now, that said, what I'm encouraging is if you actually want to parse something with someone, if you actually want to win hearts and minds, if you actually want to be heard, to be understood, riddle me this. Is Twitch chat the place to do it? Whoever changed the world with a Reddit post? Whoever had their mind changed by a Reddit post? Here, this is the most impoverished medium that you could use in trying to relate to one another. It simply is. Now, that said, what are we to do? Well, that's what the rendezvous are for. That's why we've got voice channels and voice calls. That's where we get to do the real work, okay? That's where we get to do the real heavy lifting. Here in chat, this medium is unworthy of the very serious things that many of you have on your hearts and minds. This is where, in the Discord. In the Discord is where you can have meaningful discourse. Okay? That's where. So, if you want to be sure that you're not misunderstood, mischaracterized, made a caricature of, I encourage you. Do the hard thing. Join the Discord. Get plugged in with a community of people who've agreed to try this hard mode thing. Do it with them. Do it alongside them. That's where your ideas, where the rubber of your ideas will meet the proverbial road. That's where actual impact can be had. putting a face to the name and all that. Okay. Now, I'm going to start reading chat. If there is something that you felt was absolutely critical that I got to here tonight, and I'm not going to stick around for the entire duration tonight. I'm just not going to. I'm going to end early and build a PC. That's my plan, believe it or not. Everybody's laughing right now. Listen, you don't have to laugh while I'm still here, okay? Joke fell out of his chair laughing. I'm going to read some chat. If you feel that there was something imperative that I hear tonight, and in this format, in this medium, copy, paste, whatever. I know that I've missed a bunch of you. I've not been able to welcome you guys coming in. I hope that the Mafia has been welcoming to you. I hope that they've been kind. But I will attempt to field some things. I suspect that my answer to a lot of direct questions about our subject matter, I will end up saying something like, stay tuned or come and see. Because that's the weeks ahead. So, okay. All right, DVV, what's this question? I'm sure you're going to talk about it, Gus. Well, maybe. What happens when the upfront cost is paid and the long-term benefit is never realized? What happens when you plant the fields and then before the harvest, the rot takes the field? How to avoid the double penalty scenario? I chose my words pretty carefully in here, DVV. It's a good question. I chose my words about this very carefully. Because in talking about the upfront cost and the later yield, I said that there is a possibility of a later yield. Life happens. Rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. To stick with the metaphor, hail happens. I have several farmer friends that I know who grew up doing it, who still do it, and they said hail is basically the worst thing that could happen. Inopportune timing on hail right before the harvest will destroy many crops, and they will rush to harvest what they can before hail can destroy it all. Ill-timed hail, it happens. I chose those words carefully because in those circumstances, there is the possibility of reaping a yield. If you don't sow, if you don't pay that cost up front, there is no chance. There is no possibility of yield down the line. There is no shot that you will get anything later. In one, you're doomed. In one, there's hope. No guarantees. That's why when I talk about this future, the future of this project, I say that the men and women of the Mafia who've made this thing possible through their financial contributions, they give this thing a shot at a future. Is it possible that after all of this planting, all of this investment, all of this delayed gratification, all of this upfront, law of increasing returns thinking, is it possible that this could just be killed? Yes. All businesses are like that. You could pour years of yourself into founding something and it falls apart. That's life. This is why I say train in resilience, because life will happen to you. And that's something that we work on here. Resilience, actual resilience, not never subject yourself to difficult things or difficult people because ouchies, they hurt. Resilience, thick skin, something we could all stand to do a little bit better. I hope that answers your question. A long time ago, I was able to halt a public argument in an astrology forum by mentioning the alignment of Mars that might be You're funny, Leanne. This talk means a lot to me, except I think that some of the stuff you've said may not be entirely true for everyone. Yes, Vamp, you are correct. And that's because the things that I teach are for the 95%. We have a lot in common, we humans. And what I lecture to, and I mentioned this actually during one of the previous CNRs, is I can lecture to the 95%. I can lecture to the core that we share. That last 5%, this medium does not lend itself to that. That's where community comes in. I can't stress this enough. I said this 3 weeks ago, I think, in the Gus talk as well. Either 3 weeks ago or is the one 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. This is where the sacrifice comes in. This is where you decide who's in my inner circle. Who am I going to pour into versus just being in their life? That pouring into, that's that last 5%. That's that last 5%. That's where you get to give bespoke care, bespoke love to someone. So, yes, there are things that don't apply to every single body, but 95%. Oh, Joke's laughing. Yep, laugh. Falls out of chair. Oh my gosh, he's injured. Trainees to fulfill the position after being personally trained into the occupation needed, unless I was incorrect. Oh, for Sabrina. Oh, I see. It was an excellent talk, and I'll probably wait a day to DM you. I know I want to improve and look forward to all the implementations. I appreciate it, Rick. Apparently, Dragoness thought you needed a smile. She does. She succeeds at that. She says, I try. No, she succeeds. We'll be blaming Mars from now on. Bruno, it's good to see you. Apologies. There's a handful of folks I've not got to see yet tonight. Welcome in, Bruno. Welcome. Dragon, it's good to see you, sir. Welcome. Dragon. I don't know if you've already been called out, but I'm calling you out again, my friend. I believe that a boy needs his father, but I have taught my sons how to fix a bike, change oil, change tires, change fluids in a car. All that is needed to do. So does that mean they can't be called men because they don't have a father to teach them? Only me. First of all, Vamp, very good to see you. It's very good to have you in, my legendary friend. Your question is a very good one. And it's one that I don't take lightly at all. There is no book that I have read in preparation for this, in any of the years that I've studied this, with intentionality, with a serious eye for this. Dissenting opinions, guy authors, gal authors, some older books, some newer books, some really old books. The books don't agree on everything. Some place a greater weight on some things than others, some a better emphasis. In this, you heard the author say moments aren't so important. I've had other authors emphasize that moments are the most important, and we're going to be dissecting a bunch of that as we go forward in the next couple months. But none of the authors disagree on this. Masculinity is bestowed by men, not women. It doesn't matter how well-intentioned you are. It doesn't matter how attentive you are. It doesn't matter how involved you are, how, diligent you are. None of that matters. Men and women bring something different. Period. Now, I was careful with my words earlier for this reason also. I am very aware that a lot of folks don't have a biological father around, or even a stepfather around, which is why my wording was a company of men. That's why the author said that too. We need father figures. Now, my dad's a good dude. My dad fell short in a lot of ways, in a lot of areas, but overall good dude. He did his best, and we were absolutely dirt poor, but there were a lot of us kids. There were 5 of us. And he kept food on the table, okay? It wasn't always very exciting food, but we had food on the table. And for that, I am quite lucky. I was blessed with my childhood. That said, my dad did not teach me how to become a man. He taught me some stuff. He taught me some skills. He taught me how to fish, how to, row a boat, paddle a canoe. He taught me some stuff. He repairs, how to build some things. Like, he taught me a lot about some skills, some trades, taught me some things, okay? That said, he worked all of the time. Again, we had one parent, single parent income, and he worked all of the time. And it's just, that's the way it had to be. He was keeping us alive. So who raised me? Mentors. At 12 years old, a pivotal age, I was in middle school. At 12, I joined a program called the Marine Cadets. Okay? It was run by former and retired Marines. It wasn't part of the Marine Corps. It was just guys who decided that they were going to be the glue. Guys who said, kids these days need discipline, and boys these days need fathers. They need structure. They need discipline. They need something. And it happened on weekends, and we were given uniforms that we had to iron and boots we had to polish. And we needed to go train with weapons and learn martial arts and PT until we were going to die and study history. And they emphasized our grades and they beat this into me. Okay. Every single weekend from the time I was 12 until I was no longer allowed in the program because it was for adolescents. So when I turned 18, I left the cadet program. But they had a rank structure, they had all sorts of things in there. And I learned about what real strength is, what real courage is, temerity, tenacity, diligence, enthusiasm, integrity, endurance. I learned all of those things from those 2 men who ran that program. They had a couple other guys who kind of came and went in seasons, but there were 2 men in that program. And I'll never forget them my entire life. And I needed them. They do need a father. I don't know how much of tonight you heard. I don't know how much for the rest of you out there who haven't. I don't know how much of tonight's lecture you all heard. But if you didn't hear the outset, I would very much encourage you to go back and listen to it. Because again, I chose my words very carefully tonight. More carefully than ever I have. I spent an enormous amount of time doing so, which was very uncomfortable because I don't like scripting my words. I chose my words very carefully for this precise reason. Boys need a father. That is not to denigrate moms in any way, shape, or form. Not at all. Incidentally, they also need a mom. You single dads out there, They need a mom or a mother figure. They need someone to bring what you don't. Masculinity is bestowed by men. No one else can. Doesn't matter how much you will it. It doesn't matter how much you want it to be so. It is not so. I am grateful that I don't know if it was foresight. I don't know if it was sheer dumb luck. I don't know if it was serendipity. But I ended up in that Marine program at the exact age that I needed to start figuring out a lot of stuff. And I didn't have my dad super available to guide me in these areas. And all of a sudden I had these men, these brutal men who were initiating me. And they did so for 6 years, or 5.5 years. They initiated me into the company of men, into the world of men, such that when I stepped out, when I moved out of my parents' home, when I moved into the world of the Marine Corps proper, I was ready. I was prepared. I was equipped. I knew what to expect. And we are going to be talking in the month, 6 weeks or so ahead about the stages of development. Tonight is not a one-off. Tonight is just a taste. Tonight was just caveats. Tonight was just warnings. That's all tonight was. It was big asks, uncomfortable asks, and warnings. A shot across the bow. Next week, we're going to be talking about boys. What it means to be a boy. As opposed to a man. What it means, where we start out. Where we're going in the weeks ahead is to go through the stages of development, okay? Which are chronological in a man's life, and each of which can be stunted and deformed, depending on the hand that he's dealt, depending on the circumstances of his upbringing, depending on his family makeup, yes. We're going to be starting with the youngest, and that's going to be next week. My encouragement in that go live, my encouragement in that announcement was, ladies, this is where you get to examine the men in your life, be they sons, husbands, fathers, uncles, cousins, co-workers, whatever. This is where you get the cheat sheet. This is where you get to look at them and say, oh, that's why they behave as they do. Huh. I can look at a man. I've done this for a very long time. I can look at a man today and discern much about him based on his current behavior. I can tell you about his childhood. I can tell you about his upbringing. I can tell you about his adolescence and his early adulthood. I can tell you all those things by a 30-minute conversation. Sometimes much faster. The claim here, and a claim that I'm going to be working through as we go through this series, is we are unfinished men. All of us. To some degree or another. And the encouragement for everybody here will be, find where you are unfinished. Go through this and discern. What happened to me during this stage? Was I ever initiated into this? Am I complete here? Was I damaged? Was I wounded here? Was I left to hang out flapping in the wind? What happened here? Again, the entry cost is courage. I can't stress this more. There's no other words that I could use to stress this. Vamp, for any of you other out there, single parents, either side, okay? I am not interested. It would be incorrect to say you're doing a bad job. It's just not the way that it is. That's just not it. And that's not my purpose. My aim is not to hurt you. My aim is not to insult you. But I am saying to all single parents out there, you are not enough. It takes two. And again, in my case, like, I had mentors, I was involved in like Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts briefly, and then I got busy with the Marine Cadet program, and I'm like, bye Boy Scouts, I'm gonna go do this thing instead. Like, I had mentors, okay? I had men involved in my life. And important, significant women who were involved in my life. Like, it wasn't all biological. This is not whelp, like, dad died of something and the end. Mom died of something and the end. You're just screwed forever. No, that's not the case. It is not the case. But individually, we are not enough. We're not. We need both. That's what every single book on this agrees on. It's not my words. It's all of the empirical data and anecdotal experience, which comes way at the end. All data. This is not a most case thing. This is a 100% of the time thing. We need both. And again, I might read again something that I said earlier, because I've seen a couple comments in here as I've glanced at chat that were, what's the word I'm after? Embarrassing. Okay. Disparaging masculinity is particularly appealing to those men who depart sharply from the traditional code of manhood. If there's a part of them that feels insecure or ashamed of their shortcomings, as there is in every man to some degree, even if they're unwilling to admit it, this cognitive dissonance is quickly and handily quashed by telling themselves, the whole idea of manliness is stupid anyway. In adopting this view, such men not only save themselves the effort of striving to be manly, and the daunting reality that they may very well fail at that endeavor, but also buttress an identity for themselves as enlightened and superior to their brutish brethren who haven't yet evolved. So, any men out there who have said, this is all a bunch of nonsense, Gus, that you're on about, it's a crock of shit. You stepped in the crock of shit. It is amazing to me the amount of couching and asterisks and caveating that I have done for the past months, and in the announcements and in the go lives and in all of tonight as preamble to where we're going, in saying, this is gonna piss you off. And if you're pissed off, you have a choice. Do you look in the mirror and figure out why, or do you leave? I hope you don't do the latter. You missed my comment. What did I miss? What? You missed my redeems. I'm sure that I did. What were they? Well, they were probably water, and they were probably anti-tilt, and they were probably eye drops, right? Okay. 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 Get that. Look. That's good. My eyes have been hurting for the last several days because I have just been reading absolutely non-stop and scribbling notes and highlights, underlines, and My eyes have been in great deal of discomfort. Great deal of discomfort. Past couple days in particular. So thank you for the eye drop content. If indeed that was something you redeemed, joke. If it wasn't, you get free eye drops. Or if someone else did it, thank you. Because, yep. That feels amazing. I love reading. I read every chance I get. But usually that comes in like snatches of 5 or 10 or 15 minutes here and there. This has just been like reading and reading and reading and reading. Okay. Whew. Is that Helly? Helly, it's good to see you. Also, I saw Abby somewhere in there. Abby, reclaim bandwidth. Abby, it's good to see you. I hope you got called out somewhere in there. If you didn't, I'm doing it. Abby. We get to call that Abby. Okay, reclaim bandwidth. We'll do so. I probably need to do that for more people than just one. Oh, sure enough. Who are you? Who are you? Or you? Or you? Is that everybody? And you. Okay. Is everybody else? Who? Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Cake's wearing her leopard print. Still going, still going. You ended. Who started that I haven't seen? Oh, several people. Whoops. Welp. Welp. Can't stay on top of it all, y'all. Is Gingy live for the second time today? She is. What are you doing, Gingy? What are you doing? Okay. Lurks are current. Thank you, Abby. I appreciate you telling me. Yes, I do. All right. Darth, I've always been a man that works out of careful analysis of a situation. I've never been one to just jump into it. There's 100% a need for me to learn how to build up courage and take the leap, regardless of the risk. Talk means a lot to me because fear of losing friends, because it's always hard for me to make friends. Such a strong grip on my life. Strong grip on my life for so long. Fear of socialization starts to arise. I understand that. I understand that, Darth, and I appreciate you sharing. And I'm glad that it's been of value to you. And I hope that what is yet to come will be of more value to you still. Mads! Oh my goodness, Mads, you made it in. And I'm late on chat, but you survived the timeout thing. I'm grateful for the follow. It's good to have you. I think I'm finally able to speak. I wasn't able to for 10 minutes after I followed. How are you doing? Right, per the threats, I'm doing just swell. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. I don't care to feel better, I need to be better. I want to be near perfect. I settle for not regressing backwards. As it was poignant, I think. It is poignant, Jack. I like it. I don't care to feel better, I need to be better. Yep, it's true. It's true. Books are written by humans and humans are fallible. Sure. But we also don't have, in empirical data, when there's pretty good consensus, it stands to reason that there's something there. Now, humans are fallible, yes, but it is a fallacy to say that because humans are fallible, nothing can ever be known. That is a fallacy. It's a fallacy to say because humans make mistakes, nothing that a human ever does can be trusted or leaned on. That's a fallacy. People use it to dismiss all manner of things. No, because humans are faulty, or make mistakes, or can be malicious, can be misleading, because they set out and they end up in the weeds, that we shouldn't trust data, that we shouldn't trust statistics, that we shouldn't strive to get a better understanding of statistics and so forth. No. Yes, books are written by human. that does not mean that the books are useless. Not at all. Not at all. You seem to be so awesome. I think Wolf Pepper rated you the other day. I forgot to follow. Well, I'm glad to have you, Mads. These are the kind of talks we all need to have from time to time. Well, I certainly think so. Again, I'm glad to have you in, Mads. And I'm grateful to Sir Pep for the privilege of getting to meet you. While masculinity is bestowed by men, nothing you have said tonight suggests that is a must be done by the father. It must be bestowed by a man. Right. This must have been after I started talking. Yep. I know growing up my father was, and to some extent still is, a man-child. Love him, but, well, yeah. Still had a father figures who represented much more about men than my father did. Yes, yes, yes. And you're saying it anyways. You jumped in. Yes, that you were typing while I was saying it. Indeed, sir. Indeed. Yes. Well put. Well put. Extremely thankful, however, that I grew up with very wise parents and have a great relationship with them both now. Even if there are still moments when we disagree, unfortunately for me, I'm still not old enough to understand that maybe there are some skills I just never learned or got exposed to because of my autism. Men have an innate, heartfelt need to be validated by other men. Learning many masculine skills is wonderful, but it is not a replacement for that male validation. Correct. Correct. Agree. Well put. What you described are a bunch of skills that have traditionally been thought of as things males should do, but those are just skills and anyone can learn them. You did and passed them along, but that doesn't make you a man for having learned them. Well put, Joke. Well put. The bonding time of teaching those skills is one of the ways that a father might teach their son to be a man while teaching those skills. Hence the quote. Actually, there's a quote within this quote that said, for thousands of years, this is the way it's always been done. Is the boys grew up in proximity to their father, learning a trade. It wasn't necessarily about, like, specifically the trade thing. It was about this passing on. Well put, Joke. 100% with Joke's last post. I heard much of it, but I did miss some because I'm working. I understand, Vamp. I understand. I know you've got a crazy busy schedule. I think it's fairly short, all told. From the time I started to the time I stopped, it's pretty short. I do encourage you to hear it. That will set the tone. Tonight sets the tone for the rest of this. So I hope you will make time in the days to come, sometime before we get into the next one, whatever it is, however it needs to happen. I hope you will make the time, because I have too much respect for you to allow my careful representation, my thoughtful representation of ideas to be optional. So highly encourage. That goes for the rest of you guys too, by the way. Don't be the one there to be open for DMs. Be the one doing them. Stop offering help. Do it. Lighthouse, it's good to see you, Lighthouse. I hope you're well. Late to the party, but did we define masculinity? We did not. We did not define masculinity tonight. It's a good question, Lighthouse. No. Tonight, like I said, was a warning. Tonight was threats. That's what tonight was. Tonight was threats. There's much more to come. I suspect, given the speed that I'm currently going, where I'm trying to keep the lectures somewhat small within this 4-hour period, I don't want them to be 4 hours each, because I know that folks like Vamp, I'm using you as an example here because you're like one of the busiest people I know. I don't want people like Vamp to think that they have to do a 4-hour lecture each week in order to keep up on the material. There's obviously, I could just read to you guys and just read you the 10 books that I read, in preparation for this. But I'm not going to. I'm trying to have it be somewhat condensed. So I suspect we're still going to go through the end of March at this rate. So we got a long ways to go. It's good to see you. Sometimes it's funny the way life works out. Ain't that the truth, Rick? Hashtag cankles deep. Oh, Jack. Ferret, I joined a similar program, the Navy Cadets. They trained us for our entrance into the Navy. But then I'm only the bus driver. I leave the molding of minds to those that are better prepared to do so. If those of us who wanted to be prepared to enter service. Yeah. It is a valuable thing. Like Joke said, like DVV said, it's sometimes not a father, many times it's just a man. And this is the challenge, okay? Where are they? Where are the men? And this has been a question that was asked to me. I truncated it for the purpose of my talk, but this has been asked of me by women. Where are the men who are doing this? That's a good question. Now, I'm not going to lean into and start pointing fingers at, well, men get henpecked and therefore, they're withdrawing. So what if you're being henpecked? Be brave. Do the right thing, regardless of who's henpecking you. Do it anyways. You want it to be easy? Do you want like a get out of jail free card? Do you want a hall pass? Like what is it that you want? You want a pat on the back? You're probably not going to get it. That's never been the way for us men. That's just not. So, well, society's hard because male privilege and toxic masculinity. Does that change that the things that we need to do are right and good? Oh, but it makes them risky. Oh, you might have people call you names. You might lose your job. Yes, indeed. You might lose friends. Yep. You might lose family. Yep. I hear nothing about how the importance of initiation has changed or diminished. I hear nothing about the responsibilities of men having been done away with. I see a glaring and growing need for real men. So, men are withdrawing. Okay. Male suicide rates are going up. I get all the statistics. I got it. I've read them. And I know why. That doesn't change our responsibility to one another, to the world, to the developing children out there, for initiating the next generation of this. No, which is why we're doing it here. It's why I'm talking about it. It's why I will do this incredibly uncomfortable series, knowing all of those things, knowing the abuses that many of you have suffered. I will wade into it. Ready, set, go. It's time for me to stop being selfish and to start saying some miserably hard thing. Question, does it need to be mom and dad, or could those figures be taken up by other family members such as grandmother, grandfather? Yes, absolutely. Yep. You probably typed that at the same time. I'm so far behind, Pep. Yes. You're probably typing that at the same time I was answering that question. Is there still finishing that can only be done by mom and dad? Nope. You need a mother and a father. A gal and a guy. Am I that predictable? Joke. What, being helpful with eye drops? Did you do eye drops? I don't know. Not mad, just concerned that my boys have learned everything and people are still not looking at them as men, only boys. No reason for anger. Anger over someone's comments or teaching is a waste of time. Right, Vamp? Yes, they will. This is one of the things that I started this whole talk with is this will be a frustrating series for you ladies. It just will be. You can't understand. You cannot grasp this. And it will seem to you unnatural or cruel. What we men do, what we demand of one another. It will seem unnecessary. It will seem cruel to you. You cannot understand. And you're right. They will not be initiated. No. They need initiating. And yeah, they do. Sam, it's good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome. It's not just the excellent set of skills that you appear to have imparted to your boys. They also need validation from the council tribe, yes. The men of consequence. Yep, men of consequence is a good way of putting it, Bree. Men of consequence. Personally, I'd say it's how they present themselves. You may view them as men, but others might not. I understand that to the fullest. Unfortunately, my sons don't have a man in their life. I have no family or male friends. The only thing I can do for them is be the one to teach them. I understand it again, but they don't have men. Right. I'm not sure that that should make them less of a man. Right. Again, you can't understand. I would have raided into you, but this is not one of those talks that you can drop into halfway through, and I respect and I don't interrupt you. I appreciate that, Abby. Also, raids are disabled, so you couldn't have if you tried. I am super grateful, though. That means a heck of a lot that you would have entrusted your platform and your people to little old. It means a heck of a lot. I also feel that's a great deal of respect you've shown me. Thank you. Sorry I missed CNR last Wednesday. Life happens, Sam. Life happens. We hope to see you again this next one. Wrote that when you were talking about the conflicting books. Oh, it was meant to be a lighthearted comment. Ah, I see, DVB. I got you. Okay, I'm super far behind. I'm going to skim some things. I see you guys replying to one another. I appreciate all of that. Okay. Every Friday, Saturday, this series of talks? It's just Friday, Rick. Just this. Yep. Leanne is correct. And Mel is correct. I appreciate you guys answering the questions. Friday for us, right? Not living in the future. As I'm crashing at my desk, I must turn in for the evening. Night to you all. Enjoy the bandwidth, Gus. Thank you, Helly. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. All right, sounds good, Mel. Also, autocorrect wanted to call you a melon. Okay, I'm scroll barring. Zen, it's good to see you. Thank you for calling out Zen. Mel, I appreciate it. Zen, welcome, my friend. Welcome. Hydrate, anti-tilt. You might want to read what I said in response to that. Oh my gosh. Okay, hang on. I'm going. I can agree to this as I have watched my son take my compliments, but look to his dad and grandfather for more validation on a job well done, or if he needs to work more on something. While it hurt at first that my word wasn't good enough, stepping back and looking at it in a different way, asking myself why it bothered me, I noticed that it was from another man. That is a good answer, Abby. Yes. It is, again, and I can't stress this enough, none of this is to diminish women. Not at all. Won't do it. You have a unique role to play that only you can play, that men cannot play. You have a part in this that is irreplaceable. Irreducible minimum. You can't do without it. Okay? And we will be talking some about that next week. Okay? And this is going to be the development of masculinity, which means a lot of this is going to be about what it is we're getting from other men as we develop, not ladies. But there are bits and pieces throughout this that, like you already heard here, this cannot be bestowed by women. You'll hear more stuff like that as we go through. And again, this will puzzle a lot of you ladies out there, but it's just the way that it is. And it takes wisdom. Like Abby's comment, it takes wisdom. You know what? Beyond wisdom, and Abby, you probably missed this part as you were streaming. Part of my intro is it will also take some humility. It will take some humility to understand that we bring something unique. We don't bring it all. That's just the way that it works. And saying, well, why aren't I enough? Maybe there's a narcissism in there. Maybe there's pride in there. Maybe there's something that's, you said, and I had to ask myself, why is this bothering so much? That's a great way of phrasing it, Abby. Like, that's a good thing that we all should do. And I caveated that pretty heavily when we started tonight was, now what? Like, if I'm feeling a certain way, I should probably wonder why. I should probably try and figure that out, right? Oh, Guts! Hello, Guts. It's good to see you. And Maggot, welcome in. Sorry, I'm super far behind on everything. Voice in the back of my head telling me that I'm a F up. We all suffer when men do not act like men. Been listening, just adjusting the looseness of the handles on my butterfly knife. Keep you on while I pack up the rest of this stuff for my weekend getaway to decompress and actually relax. I got you. I got you, Maggot. As long as we're listening and actually hearing the words, it matters little what we do with our hands at the same time. It's funny to think. Not every need can be filled by every person. Absolutely, Guts. 100%. 100%. It's pride or delusion that tells us otherwise, yes. Father figure need not be someone related to you. It could be a teacher they respect at school. It could be friend's father. Spend a large amount of time there. Could be another member of the family. It's not by default your partner. I mean, it doesn't need to be by default your partner. Like, it doesn't, the natural default is the partner. But again, my dad wasn't like around all the time, especially during the critical teenage years. Yeah. So, yes indeed. While that being said, there are times when my son will look to me for the answers and hurt his dad and Gramps because their answer wasn't good enough. Indeed. My answer to them is because I'm mom and you're dad. Correct. What happens when they don't get the validation because they don't have anyone to give them it? It's a good question, Sabrina. 4 of the books that I've read have used the same word for this. I found it interesting that they all used the same word. The first time I read it, I went, all right, that's a choice of word for this. Like, I see why they would have gone with this word. Sure. And then I'm like, a lot of these authors use this word. Is it more profound than I'm thinking? Is it? There's something there. I don't quite know what it is, but 4 of these books, I think it's 3 or 4 of these books, have said they've used the word wounded. If this, then success. If not this, then they are wounded. Others have used words like harmed and so forth. I use the word stunted. To me, it's much more pointed. Wounded makes sense. I understand that. You can heal. You can heal from wounds is an encouraging thing. I say stunted because it will take some work to undo this thing, and it will cause setbacks. Wounds do similar things. So whichever word you want here, pick your poison. What doesn't happen, or what happens if they don't get the validation because they don't have someone? They are unfinished. They are undeveloped. They are stunted. They are delayed. They are held back. They are put on pause. They are, however you want to phrase it. Now, the encouraging part of this is the reason for this series is not for me to just point out all the things that are wrong, okay? The encouraging part about this is there's something that can be done about this. This is something that can yet be bestowed, regardless of what age you are. This involves a lot of skills. Skills can be practiced. Now, some people have had a developmental setback in this because of their upbringing or lack thereof, okay? Because of abuse, because of neglect, because of tragedy. It will be harder. It will be more difficult for some to come back from that. It will be difficult, really difficult for some who've never had any of this and they're in their 30s, 40s. You've heard the phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, we become cynical. We become jaded. The older you are, if you've been through life and you haven't had these questions answered, am I a real man? If you've not had that question answered, it's going to be really hard to get a satisfactory answer now. This is stuff that should happen at sort of prescribed times that have always happened, going back to antiquity. Again, thousands and thousands of years. It's basically been done the same way, cross-culturally. I looked at cross-cultural studies for this. You would not believe the number of tribes that I had to try to pronounce the name of. The different, like, peoples, ancient peoples, and all of this stuff, and the traditions, all these different countries, and how they initiate their men. All of this. Like, there's so much that we don't have here in the West in particular, okay? Now, there are still some places on Earth that have defined times, okay? In the West, not so much. Not so much. Like, there's a pretty good example of this for ladies. In the Spanish culture, there's quinceañeras, right? You turn 15, they're like, all right, you're a woman now. Ta-da! Now you need to start acting like one. Now you go to finishing school or whatever it is, and you're going to learn all the stuff, right? You were a child, now you're not. In Jewish culture, there's the bar mitzvah, right? Bar mitzvah is, I don't even know what age it is, but it's like 12, 13, something like that. Surprise, you're a man now, or at least you need to start being a man now. Like, boyhood is over, manhood begins now. There are definite moments, definite points that they're like, okay, there's benchmarks, there's milestones that you hit that people highlight, that the male culture highlights. We don't have any of that in the West. Nada. It's just good luck. So that's why I know that this is a miserable series for a lot of guys, because this is not something that anyone wants to wade in, not something that someone wants to admit to. There is no 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old guy out there who wants to say, yeah, I never had any of that, and I'm a train wreck as a result of it, and I need help. No, nobody wants to say that. Nobody. No matter how brave you are, no matter how courageous you are, no one wants to do that. So, no, it sucks. It sucks. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I saw Hydrated and Anti-Tilt. I don't know if I read those things, or if I already did those, but I probably missed more earlier anyways, so we're just gonna lean into it. Having a male role model is just as important for a girl as it is for a boy. Also from experience. I will be let me tell you, Guts. You glean a different experience as a girl and a boy, but the importance is different. Yes. I have 2 books, actually. Wait, 3? I don't have them in here. I have a small pile just out there. It's 2, maybe 3 books. I want to say it's 3. On that I got because I was over ambitious with this. Okay, I was over ambitious with this series. I may yet do something with them. No guarantees. But there's 3 books on what it means to parent, to father girls, to raise daughters as a man, and what that unique relationship is, what that unique role is, and yes, the harms that come as a result of not doing it. I have 3 books now. The thing is, I got 10 books, I want to say, for all of this. Including those 3. And I'm like, I don't have the time to go into all of that. I don't have the time. So I set those aside. And now I have 6 more books coming. I have a lot of books on a lot of things, and I'm just constantly reading. But that is, for now, not slated to be something that I discuss explicitly. I will be talking about the development of men. I fretted for a long time about the idea of speaking to the development of girls, and I'm like, I can't. I cannot. You are other. You are different. I cannot. I would not presume. Again, per the actual formal lecture here tonight, which if you missed it, go listen to it. Okay? And then I might not hear from you at all ever again because you might leave. But go listen to that. It's critical. I chose my words very carefully. I don't mean to detract. No, you're fine, Guts. You're fine. Not at all. I know that it's important. It's a super significant thing. And it's just not, it doesn't neatly fit within the scope of this right now. Could I revisit it at another time and say, here it is from a man's perspective? Maybe. But I also am not a father. I'm not. And I don't know. Like I said, I've fretted about this quite a lot. I don't know that I would be a very good presenter here. I can speak about men. I can speak about the development of men. I am one. Surprise! And I was raised well. I can say well. Yes, of course, there are things that go wrong in your life. Of course, again, the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. No question. I can speak pretty authoritatively from this. About you ladies? Not so much. And I'm not the right guy for it. I'm not the right guy. I spoke to at length tonight the wisdom that was shared with me by parents about parenting. That comes from, again, a bunch of empirical data and stuff that I've studied, and from a bunch of stories from a bunch of you about like that, you know, law of increasing return and stuff like that for parenting. That wisdom, even that, I'm like, I tried to be really clear with my wording about this is what the parents in my life have said. This is what I've gleaned. But I'm still not an authoritative source on it. Yes, I've studied it. Yes, I'm seeking wisdom. But I can't know what it means to be a parent. I had a really fun conversation about this with one of you on Wednesday, actually, during one of the rendezvous. I said, hey, I've read about being a parent, right? I've studied all this stuff. Does that make me a parent? Does that mean I understand what it means? And she laughed and was like, no, you don't know what it's like to be a parent. And I said, but what? But I've read all the books. She said, that doesn't make you a parent. Right. I think it's valuable stuff. I'm going to study it for my own benefit, for my own hopeful future of someday being a parent. I'm not going to teach it. I think that there are probably better resources out there. Maybe when I read the books, maybe this is what I'll do, Guts. When I read the books, maybe I'll like be like, oh, I recommend this, and then I can like put it on the reading list, you know? Which I don't think I've published yet. All right. We'll get to it. Okay. What I more meant is that the man needs to be a man in the first place to fill the role, regardless of which child is being provided to. Yes. Tried to keep it off topic. Fell a little short there, but I tried. Yes. Oi. Waves to Andy over on Rumble. That's right. Hi, Guts. Yeah, Rumble chat. Some may seek approval. Most will just do. Not to not prove one's worth, but one must figure it out. Tools were given, the process was followed, but has the success been realized? He said realized. You can't say realized without re. Oh my gosh. I don't think manhood is some intangible thing that, if not given, can never be gained. I think a large amount of it is bound in recognition. If a child is able to be recognized as a man, then they don't ever have to doubt that they are now a man. However, if they never get that recognition, they will never know for themselves that they have stepped out of childhood into manhood. Correct, DVD. Yes, that is the word, hence the word bestow. This is not something that one can get on their own. You will always be crippled by doubt. Yes, this is something that men know throughout the ages, but certainly now plagues the world of men, is the unknowing, the lack of certainty, the questioning oneself. Absolutely. So that is where someone else has to definitively speak into your life. Otherwise, you just go on questioning. Yes. Stunted applies. I'm thinking of my best friend whose father's an alcoholic and a terrible person. Not just father, he's very stunted. It's a hard word, Sabrina, but I think it fits. Thought it was 16 for the. Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry, Rick. Maybe. See, I don't know. I'm not in those. I don't know. Maybe it is 16. What's quinceañera mean? Someone has to tell me the Spanish. Isn't that like the Spanish for quinceañ? Isn't that like an age? I thought that's a number. Isn't like like QUI? Isn't that like 5? Like quintuple? I thought it was 5. I could be wrong. What's 6? Siete? Ocho, nueve, diez, siete. No, I don't know Spanish. There's several people here know Spanish, though. I will refer you to them. It's funny you bring that expression up. That's not exactly true. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah, it's just hard. Right. We've talked about this at length before, Sam. Most people just don't have the patience to try because it's so much harder. Yes, their brains are not as plastic as they were. It adds to your point that people can learn and do better. It just may be harder, yes. And it's 13 for bar mitzvah. Hey, Sam knows things. Thank you. Also do them for women. It's called a bat mitzvah. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Sam knows things. Thank you, Sam. And yes, you're exactly right. For shorthand, I used the teach an old dog new tricks. But yes, you can. It's just much, much more difficult. Plasticity of the brain, you guys. Fascinating stuff physiologically. It varies from what I've seen. Rick, I've had friends who've had theirs at 15, others at 16, a few at 14. Oh, I thought it was a number. Am I crazy? I thought it was a number. If you would do me the kindness, when able, good sir, I'd be interested in the names of those books for my own knowledge. I will compile a list. Book list library, Sir Tie Guy. Yes, I have a reading list, Pep, that I've made, and it's in the Discord. And I have not published it yet. And it was a specific reason that I didn't do it. It was so annoying. I started just putting in a list and then I was like, okay, but like for the Anatomy of Peace, as I started reading the 4th edition, I'm like, this is crap. They changed it, right? And so in the reading list, I couldn't just say Anatomy of Peace, Arbinger Institute. Instead, it was, okay, I recommend the 3rd edition. It's the only one that I've read that I can trust. Don't read the 4th edition. It's crap, and I can't vouch for anything that comes after. And so then I started doing that for like each of the books, and I'm like, okay, it's this edition of this book, because people update their editions. And so I'm like, all right, then it was, this author wrote this book. This book was valuable to me, but this author has also written some garbage. And so grain of salt. This is not a blanket praise or approval of everything this fellow disappointment has ever written. And so it became this like super long, like diatribe about, listen, I'm trying to provide a reading list here, and you're going to have to use your wisdom and discernment, because some books, oh my gosh, this is so funny. One of the books I had in there, I was like, okay, most of the book is good, but this part of the book is very bad. How do I make a list? And then it was like, oh shoot, there was like this whole thing. Like, I highly recommend this person's philosophy and stuff is like really sound, and I think it's valuable. I've gleaned a lot of value from it because of my exposure to their ideas. But this, I think they've got very wrong. Humans can do both. We can do both. So I started putting in this super long disclaimer of, listen, you're gonna have to decide for yourself. You're gonna have to use wisdom and discernment to go through a given book and be like, this is worth keeping, this is crap, this is worth incorporating into who I am as a person, this doesn't apply to me. Turns out a reading list is a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing to make. I started putting it together and I'm like, this will be easy. No problemo. That's why I haven't published it yet. It's written. I'm looking at it right now. It's over in Cornerstones. I didn't publish it, right? Hang on. Let me just check here. Yeah, no, it's not published yet. It's under Pick Your Poison. Yep. It's all written up. Just I'm done with it. It's too. It's hard. I don't know what to tell you. Just dying over here. Oy. Can't speak for all women, but I can speak for my own experiences, and I will say that my father had a huge impact on my life, and I would say it'd be less of a woman without him. You read all the books, but did you read the right books? Ferret, yes. I've read quite a few books from quite a few different perspectives. Like I said, some of them disagree on some things. I'm like, again, trying to exercise wisdom and discernment here on, all right, how do we parse the good, you know? And again, some of them are older, like significantly older. Some of them are, what's the oldest one I'm reading? Well, okay, from like 100 years ago. And then it's like 60 years ago. And then one is 30 years ago. A couple are from 25 to 30 years ago. Others are newer. I've got a spectrum. I've got a span of things. So unless you've had a kid, you can't per se be called a parent. Right. It's a whole separate portion of life. I look forward to one day. Yeah, exactly right, Rick. My parents were awful parents, so my mom tried to force me into roles that's just not me. You're not alone, Sam. You're not alone. It's 16. Thank you, Vamp. I appreciate it. Cinco is 5. Oh, okay. Hola, siete. Oh my gosh. I should know Spanish since I'm full-blooded Puerto Rican, but I don't. Quince is 15. What? Oh, I'll let you figure out for what age that party is held. So 15, is that what I said? Am I crazy? Oh my god. So it's different ages? Are you okay? So one of you said it's like 14, 15, or 16, somewhere in there? Okay. I thought, I don't know Spanish, quince, 15, quinceañera, I don't know what yera means, but yeah, I thought it was an age. Okay. You know where I learned that from, by the way? Do I know where I learned that thing? I want to say it was because my niece, she's the only one who would have been that age. Like long after I was moved out, I was visiting. My mom and my sister was there, and she had my niece there, and she was watching Wizards of Waverly Place, and I guess the characters are of Mexican heritage, and the episode was celebrating a quinceañera, and it like stuck in my brain that was like the 15th birthday. Anyways, well, you know, it depends on parents' judgment. Fair enough. All right, gang. I am going to end there. I'm going to end an hour early. It's true. And I'm going to give that hour over to working on a PC. This is my plan. Again, if you missed the beginning of this, if you missed the actual lecture portion of this, I got into it pretty fast, pretty early. I got into it, I want to say in like 20 minutes. Let's see, disable that. And I'm not going to re-enable raids until I end because I have been boozled before. But yes, I cannot recommend enough that you go back and listen to it. It's short by design. It's meant to be consumable, okay? The VOD will be on YouTube, it'll be on Rumble, and it'll, yes, be on Twitch for a little while. You know, Twitch, the VODs only stay on there for 60 days, but everywhere else they will remain. The foundation of what I mentioned starts right where we are. Yeah, hi, Twitch, yeah. So yeah, you know, follow on Rumble, on YouTube, on Twitch, whatever, but join the Discord. If you're new around these parts and you're not yet plugged into the community, I cannot stress enough, join the Discord. This is where the magic happens. Twitch chat is an impoverished way for you to go through life, and it's unworthy of you. There are better mediums to do this meaningfully in, and the Discord is the best that we've got here. Now, my incessant encouragement to everybody is, yes, though we're establishing the men's group, though we're standing up all of that, find real in-person community. Now, we're getting our reps in humaning on Wednesdays, okay? We're going to be doing that with the groups to come. But the gold standard is people that you can embrace. Men whose hands you can shake, okay? People with whom you can do life together, like literally. Someone needs help moving, you can like break a sweat, right? Put some elbow grease into it. Or if you need help, they can be there. Like, this is the gold standard. We're getting in our practice here. We're getting in our reps here. But at some point, you need to be around a fire. At some point, you need a community. One that's not afraid of difficulty. One that's intentional. One that has glue. "29 minutes. Thank you, Mel. 29 minutes in, you guys, and it didn't last that long. I found it's dependent upon culture. Some it's a celebration of becoming 15, others celebrating the last year of childhood, others a celebration of coming of adulthood. But depending on culture, I thought it was a Mexican thing. Would that not be the culture, Pep? Okay. I could be entirely wrong. I've been wrong before. Will be again. That's right. Oh, I know you're working on the PC, but are specs good? Rick. Several people have asked me for specs. I did a computer build stream. You could go back and look at the VOD. Last week? 2 weeks ago? I don't know. You'll find it. The thumbnail's pretty obvious. The thumbnail has a monitor right here. I set up another desk, and there's a second monitor right here. I think it's titled First Ever On-Stream PC Build or something like that. It's here. So you'll see it, and I talked about the specs in there. But yeah. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, etc. Joke no Spanish. Thank you for dropping so many links, you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate that, Mel. Thank you again to the public patrons, you guys. It doesn't happen without you. All the good. Aki, Bootless, Dano, Leanne, Ferret, Goose, Hale, Jen, Joke, Abby, Tink, Helly, Marty, Karma, Pre, Retro, Zen, Ryan, Sabrina, Bump, Tech, Mouse, Trotsky, Pell, Milk, Dragon, Siege number 1, and Zen. Means a heck of a lot. Heck of a lot. He built a turd. Yeah, exactly, Joke. I do gotta blame the PC. That's the way it is. My frames! Still here, just don't have much to add or ask. That's okay. I'm grateful for your thoughts, your contributions, Sabrina. It means a heck of a lot. Disappointment pack. Oh my gosh. Okay. I got you. That goes for the rest of you guys. Being here. Again, it's no small thing. Courage was the price of entry, some more than others, and I'd not disrespect that by failing to acknowledge it as much as I have. That's no small thing. Thank you guys for keeping the lights on, for again welcoming in new folks, answering people's questions, keeping Rumble chat moving and all that jazz. Tomorrow is a return to the silliness. Tomorrow we're gonna be playing Tunic. I will hope to launch that somewhat early. We get into it. I will not be raiding out here tonight. Again, I do not like moving from the serious to something. It's the incongruity. I'm not about it. We disable raids incoming, no raid outgoing. So if you left your bandwidth here, you're gonna just find it where you left it on Friday night here. So this is gonna be our theme going forward with Fridays. You'll know this. Yeah, tomorrow night. Hope to see you guys then. Not specifically Mexican per se. Most Latin cultures celebrate it. Oh, okay. Latin/Spanish. Oh, okay, I got you. Thank you for the talk. Thank you for being here, Mel. Waiting for the day when Zin's name starts getting cut off. Oh, yeah. Yep. Indeed, Joke. All the alphabetization. been a pleasure being here, and it's been a pleasure having you, DVV. Truly. Thank you for the support tonight and for the kind words. The vote of confidence. It means a heck of a lot. Been a pleasure. Going to try my hardest to get to the CNR group Wednesday. We'd love to see you, Vamp. We all talk about you each week. Where's Vamp? I hope she's okay. I know we all know you're super busy. We know what you're doing. It's like, nobody thinks that you like just decided, meh. We all know that you're busy, but we do hope to see you. Too bad it's not a command. Helping another get a piece of parts won't be a turd. It will be a command at some point, Rick. It's been asked for. We'll see. We'll see. Turns out I'm on Thursdays, and your Wednesday CNR is on my Thursday, so I should be able to get it sorted. Hell yeah. I like it. Gotta do something for work. I'll be back, hopefully before you end. I'm ending now, Rick. What do you mean? I'm ending right now. This very second. Why? I am eternal. Zin. Drop the full usernames and just put the names you actually say. Yes, Tink, maybe. Maybe. I can truncate it, yes. A birthday dinner this week, so I missed CNR. Kind of caught up afterwards. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So. Oh, work from home. Yeah, I didn't know what that meant, Abby. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, gang. What does it look like? What does it look like to get plugged into this stuff? What will become of this project? What will it look like to jump into some of the silliness tomorrow? Will we make progress in all the stuff and all the things? Will we learn our lesson and actually like function in the game, or just beat our head against the wall with language and stuff and things? Come and see. Come and see. And as ever, I will strive to see that it's a decision that you don't regret. In the meantime, I wish for you each marvelous evenings, mornings, wherever ye be. I'll see you on the other side.